I've been a trial lawyer for 35 years. I've practiced the entire time located in Peoria, Illinois. All I ever wanted to do was be a trial lawyer. When I came to town, I didn't know anybody except a couple of uncles. I started out by trying a lot of workers' compensation cases, ended up, in fact, arguing in front of the Supreme Court my second year on a case. I have, since that time, over a number of years, worked with several different groups of people and had the opportunity to try a large number of cases of all different types and complexity. For the last 22 years, I have had my own practice, my own office, with others helping me, where we've concentrated primarily on very complex and difficult scientific and legal issues, the kinds of cases that most lawyers don't agree to take because it takes a great deal of time, effort, and money. Large corporations, large hospitals, they spend a lot of money defending against cases. It requires us to spend a lot of time and effort to defeat those efforts, and our experience is such that I think today we offer the best opportunity for people to be able to find justice under these terrible circumstances. What people also don't understand is that interest groups that have substantial sums of money can influence legislation, either in the federal or state levels. And so, for example, in Illinois, the medical profession, the hospitals and the doctors and their insurance companies, some of which are owned by doctors and some of which aren't, but those groups have enough money and power to have gotten legislation written and into law in this state that makes it extremely difficult for people to pursue cases against hospitals or doctors. You have to file certain documents in a certain order, and if you miss a step, you can't pursue a case. I'm fortunate enough that for the last 5 years, I have, and not having solicited this, I have been denominated one of the best lawyers in Illinois, best trial lawyers who practices specifically in the field of protecting individuals who have been harmed by other professionals or large corporations. The cost of hiring the best to come in and provide evidence at trial. That's the only way you can prove your case, is to provide evidence into the courtroom. The evidence comes from typically the mouth of people who have expertise. So if you have an orthopedic surgeon, we need to have an orthopedic surgeon. In circumstances where an individual has been harmed, typically a lawyer such as myself takes the case on what we call a contingency fee basis. That's because most people couldn't afford to hire a lawyer. They can't afford to pay what the corporations can pay, hundreds and hundreds of dollars an hour. Instead, the cases that we have to take, we are only compensated as a lawyer if I win the case. Today, we know from all the studies that are done nationwide about trials, the average expense, the cost to an attorney that brings a medical malpractice case to trial is approximately $80,000. Their philosophy is the more difficult we make it for individuals, the more difficult we make it for lawyers who represent individuals, the fewer times people are going to hold us accountable. And unless we make the effort to hold them accountable, they won't care about safety because they won't have to. There's been a lot of advertising about the high cost of medical care, that lawyers have caused doctors to leave their practices, that hospitals are unable to provide services. Those are all paid-for fictions that have been, the message has been delivered to affect people's thinking when they come and serve as jurors. The truth is that large hospitals are getting larger. They make incredible amounts of profit, and they are growing by gobbling up physician practices. There are rural areas in this country where it is difficult to get physicians or hospitals because the community can't afford to pay for a hospital, and it's such a rural area, the physician and or their spouse don't want to live there. But in the vast majority of areas in this state, and especially in the Peoria area and Chicago and Springfield and St. Louis, these are all very urbanized areas. The mission of this office is to provide the best possible representation that we can, and that can be expected to anyone who is a client of this office. So our mission at the end of the day is not just to represent our clients, but to make sure that we bring those to the table and that have caused them harm and make them accept responsibility for their conduct.